It's a beautiful day for another weekly Q&A session for the community. And if you're wondering what this is or how this is different, it is a similar setup to the weekly live streams, except of course, instead of being live, it is pre-recorded to give people especially a chance from not the Eastern, or sorry, not the European time zone to kind of join on in the fun. You can of course post your questions on Discord. There's a link in the description below. It'll be over here in the weekly Q&A section. You just find the most recent week, or you can join the YouTube members for priority. Anyways, we'll start it off with a very quick analysis of Bitcoin. Nothing in, super in depth here, just talking about the next week price action. We do see that the weekly is closing as of right now. I mean, there's still 15 hours, 51 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. But assuming that Bitcoin is not above about 89,000 bucks, nor below about 84,500 bucks by, again, the end of the closure tonight, I would be expecting a range actually for the next week between those two numbers. So basically mid 80s to to almost 90,000 bucks. As we went over this past week, I do still have, I guess, skepticism for Bitcoin, I guess in the more medium term, but in the short term, Bitcoin very likely to bounce. It has been bouncing, actually hitting a high of about 86,000 bucks. That's also in combination with the meta signal setup that we spoke about over the past few days here. So, I'd be waiting for that to play out first. Of course, should also be known that Bitcoin does have, or CME does have, a nice big old gapola here, just below 94,000 bucks. So, Bitcoin could theoretically rally up all the way there and reject, and that would be your next to lower high. Again, I stand with my general stance here that this next segment is probably going to take some time. And I think that would actually be a good signal long term, implying that Bitcoin is not done for this cycle, but it is done for now. What do I mean by that? Bitcoin has found a major top. This is an idea that we've had coming into the end of 2024 for the first quarter of 2025. But while it is a major top, at the very minimum, and I expect that will take multiple months to kind of work itself out, I guess that does open up the possibility that this cycle does run into the end of the year. So imagine something similar to kind of 2021, where Bitcoin spent many months at the top, comes down significantly, spends many months at the bottom, then rallies its way up, maybe makes a new high, maybe doesn't make a new high, but could look something like that. In fact, that's kind of what I'm generally thinking right now, because I have a problem with this current high being like the high, so to speak. So I still do hold on to a little bit of hoping, but that's more long term. In the medium term, I do think that Bitcoin can again easily come down and make even a slightly lower low, but perhaps that is a major opportunity. All right, sweet. So let's start it off here with the YouTube members. I have already posted, by the way, the new Q&A if you want to join in there as well. But we'll start off with Drew's View, and he says, "Hey Crown, if it wouldn't take up too much of your time, I would love a quick demo on how to set up the skeleton key, which is the tool for the Quant Prime AI service that we have. You're saying that you're a visual learner, so okay, yeah, sure, we can do this really quickly. I think I actually have I've actually a perfect chart for this right here. So let's bring up the skeleton key and go through the list of your criteria. Okay, so time frame 15 minute. All right, let's switch this over to the 15-minute time frame. Side long only. Okay, so we're only doing long trades. Fine. Edge crown cross. We're using risk management. The built-in features essentially. And you want your entry. So let's set up your entry criteria. 21 EMA versus 55 for the 15-minute time frame. So for that, we can just go over here and we can tick on the enter on uptrend. That is going to relate to the 21 and 55 exponential moving average. So if if those moving averages are crossed in the upside direction and this entry criteria is ticked here, then, well, at least that condition is green lit. All right, so moving on from there, we have BBWP below 25. Okay, for that, we'll use a threshold indicator right here. By the way, you can also ask these sort of questions to not ChatGPT, although it is very similar to ChatGPT, but the AI bot that we included on Teachable, which you can access. Anyways, BBWP, again, selected right here. less than 25, I believe that was your number. We take entry as well. So now BBWP must be below 25 at minimum to greenlight that condition. And then you want to have hidden divergence. Okay, so this is where it does get a little bit hairy here. We do have a built-in option for divergence. I don't think that it's not going to be perfect, this one, but we can use it. It's not going to use the same logic as Caretaker's RSI here. Unfortunately, I don't think that we can, or at least as of right now, as it stands, and I believe Caretaker's looking into workarounds with this, but it's difficult to make it compatible with the skeleton key in the exact way that it works on the indicator. But again, the skeleton key does have its own built-in divergence identifier, if you want to call it that. And I'm guessing because this is a long strategy, we want to see hidden bullish divergence. Of course, enter on regular bullish divergence would be nice as well. But you're already trading an uptrend, so probably not going to happen, but I guess we could take it on as well. But for now, I'll leave it off. Anyways, entry on 55. Okay, so this is the only condition that you have on this whole thing that is a little bit problematic, because we do not have a way of just blindly putting in an order on the 55 exponential moving average if the prior criteria was green lit. However, what we can do is we could go down to the external sources, and we can set up a condition here where, let's say, the low of a candle must be equal to or less than the 55. So let me just see what my 55 EMA is here. It's MA number 6 for me on this particular indicator. I'm using the CT MAC right there. So I'll just do below MA6. Whoops, I went a little bit too far down there. And let's go below MA6. Okay, and entry. Okay, so that, I believe, solves all of your entry criteria. Then you want to exit on RSI divergence against trend. So I'm going to guess that that's bearish divergence in this case. Again, you're trading an uptrend, so that would make the most sense to me. And we can just go back up to the built-in features here with the divergence, and we can exit on bearish divergence. Now, you did also offer up a couple of ways to manage risk. I believe the built-in features are already working off of this. So let's see, as they typically are greenlit. Yeah, they are greenlit in this case. So let's also make sure, well, I'm gonna raise the initial capital here just to make sure that this simulation has enough data to be going off of. But I'm guessing the issue, if there is going to be an issue, yeah, only 21 trades, is very likely due to the divergence indicator over here. So I would say if you could find a better way of doing this, at least getting rid of one of the sides of this, I think that would help a lot. For example, instead of exiting on bearish divergence, I would actually suggest to exit on a volatility metric. So let's say if BBWP gets above 70, for example. I don't know if that's going to work, but just as an idea, that would make sense to me, because you're trading a trend in this example, or at least that's what I gather from your strategy. And if you're trading an uptrend, then your volatility expansion is typically going to come with upside moves. So yeah, anyways, I can see here that it actually hasn't even had a trade in a very long time. So that's also concerning. Yeah. Again, I strongly believe it is the divergence indication there. So let me actually I'm just going to get rid of it just to see if there's any improvement. You could also just use stochastic momentum turning up above a certain threshold, or even just having an upwards cross. You can see this does change things around. It doesn't really help. So yeah, I would say there might be a base of a strategy here, but I think that all of the parts of this are fine except for these right here. I think that they're causing an issue. Or maybe we could actually extend the bars valid. Let's see if that might help. Who knows? Well, 5 bars valid versus 15. I mean, that's going to be too much. Well, at least you got a positive, a positive readout here. So perhaps there is something more to that. But yeah, like I said, I would get rid of those two conditions. You could use another momentum oscillator for that. I give a couple examples, and I think that actually you will have a strategy somewhere in there, because that's actually a very common base that I use with BBWP and moving averages for trends. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, ma'am. Anyways, we'll move on to Cousin Burley. She says, hope you recovered from travels. Slowly getting there. I'm only now waking up 1.5 hours later than my usual wake up time. What opinion, if any, do you have about the 18-year cycle and possible 2026 recession that the Pizzino brothers reference often? I know you said Jason Pizzino there, but I know that his brother Michael as well is big into that one. Thank you for your time and thought. All good. Okay, so the 18-year cycle is actually a real estate cycle that the Pizzino brothers have been following. I believe it was first populated by Phil Anderson, and again, it pertains to real estate. And there actually have been incredibly well documented cycles over the past couple hundred years that he went back through that show that the real estate sector kind of operates on about an 18.6-year cycle, where it's just essentially a bull market for 18 and a half years, and then goes into like a real bear market where it can take many years to kind of work itself off, or recession time, as you did quote right there. So what is my opinion on that? The data is the data, and for me, that's enough to pay attention whenever I see something that has a lot of supporting evidence. I'm always going to pay it heed. I understand, however, that this is not what a lot of people want on YouTube. People want people want certainties, and people, not everyone obviously, but a certain type of person wants certainties. Of course, I want certainty as well, but it's impossible to have. But yeah, I look at it as certainly worthy, and it's something that I'm following. And it has been true in the past that, especially when we see homes, the real estate sector top, the U.S. stock market, the major indices, are not that far off behind. There is about a year to 2 year lag. I guess maybe that kind of is far away. But, for example, we could use symbol XHB here to kind of gauge the real estate sector. This is Home Builders ETF. And actually, myself and Jason were talking about this, many times over the past, especially over the past year, but certainly over the past few months. As I was looking at this chart, and I was thinking to myself, I think this one's topped, man. I think this one's topped. This was back in December. This was a very, very important closure below November's lows, and it's going to take some time here. There's going to be rallies along the way, but I do expect that this thing does come much further down into the mid 80s over the next couple of years. So if this is topping, does that mean that U.S. markets might have another year to 2 years, which would bring us out into 2026, maybe even the end of 2026? Possible, sure. Last cycle, it topped about 1.5 years before. Before that, it was actually closer to 2 years. So fair enough. Yeah. To me, it's just data. Everything's just data, and it's useful for coming up with probabilities, and that's really all that it comes down to. Again, there's no certainties in trading. There's no certainties in investment, and in investing. Even if you're super sure about something, there's still the possibility of a black swan, which is an unforeseen risk that can fuck everything up. So, just have to live with that. Anyways, Arms Private says HBAR USD. Yep, we can check this one out. Let's go over here. HBAR. I think this is a US made coin or something like that. And yeah, significantly different than many things, or at least many alts that I've seen as of recent. In fact, had a really, really good bounce yesterday. We've been looking for bounces on most alts, and this one actually having a very strong bounce, so that is a good sign overall. Let's now, however, just go over the key pivots on this one for right now. That would be 17 spot 8 cents to the downside versus 39 cents to the upside. We're seeing momentum on the 2-day time frame turn back up. The daily should also be up as well. Indeed, it is. What about the 5-day? That one will turn up above 23.5 cents, which it is above right now. And the weekly is probably going to continue down here. But, I'd really be looking for a range to kind of transpire between these two major regions. You'll probably see a test up at least somewhere around the 50% level. In fact, that literally was the high for yesterday or this morning. But, I'd be expecting this one to kind of travel sideways within this range for a while and not really have any major major breakouts or major breakdowns. But if anything, I do think that it's got a better chart than, I don't know, let's say 95% of most shitcoins. So yeah, as long as you're above 17 spot, let's just call it 18 cents to the downside. As long as you're above there, you can still have some bullish hopium. Again, would that align well with Bitcoin taking kind of a bit of a siesta here in the next coming months and then having another try to the upside? I think this thing would do well if that was the case. Reef Keeper says, "Oh, Lord of Dildos, I beseech thee a question." Yes, no problem, my lord. I know this is subjective, but in your opinion, what is a proper amount of leverage when trading perpetuals? Does time frame play a role in that decision for you, trading the 1 hour versus the 2-day? Yeah, of course, the time frame is going to play a major decision, because think about it. If you're trading on an hourly versus a 2-day, as you gave in your example, the absolute numbers that you're dealing with are going to be much bigger in the 2-day time frame set. Why? Because, well, an hourly range can be maybe like $1,000 or $2,000. A 2-day range can be $10,000, right? So naturally, you're not going to have the same sort of leeway with your liquidation points if you are, using that to begin with, that, as your risk management, with a higher term time frame relative to a lower term time frame. Lower term time frame should have, smaller ranges inherently, so you can theoretically leverage up a little bit more if you desire. Now, my personal stance is that I don't think that there's really any major value in going over even 5x leverage. I know that that's a crazy statement in a sector that has 100x leverage, but you have to think about what I think about, at least, is the worst case scenario. So I always think, okay, what if a black swan hit? Will I be safe running this strategy? Because again, my strategies are pretty much, they literally are all automated at this point. So I want to make sure that even if I'm not there, it's going to be okay. It's going to be safe. So going back into it here, where exactly was I? Yes, I want to be looking at the worst case scenario, and that typically comes down to calculating the average drawdown and then the maximum drawdown for a strategy, which you actually will get this data with the strategy tester here. God, I fucking hate TradingView. They change around their interface so often and break everything that is not broken, and it just fucking sucks. It really fucking sucks now. Like, why did they change this? Why did they fucking change this? And where is the export button now? You motherfucker. There it is. Okay, Jesus Christ. But yeah, in the list of trades data here, you can go and sort by the drawdown column. And then you can actually put that data into like an Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheets if you want the free option as well. And then you can calculate the maximum or the average, and whichever one you want to use. Obviously, I like to go with the worst case scenario, and then see like, look, if your worst, your maximum drawdown for a winning trade was, let's say it was 10%. Well, you certainly wouldn't want to go over 10x leverage, because at a 10% move, you will get liquidated. If you are on 5x leverage, then you need a 20% move in order to get liquidated, assuming that your actual risk management stops don't come in first, which obviously is the much better way of doing things. So yeah, I would say no more than 5. I mean, because you're not going to get too many 20% moves, and 20% moves gives you a lot of time to manage your risk before you get fucking liquidated. If you haven't managed it by a 20% move, you're not trading. You're just hoping and praying, I guess. Yeah. All right. Let me take a sip of this water. I have infused it with creatine and salt for today. It's actually quite good. and we shall move on. Old Gringle says, hi, Frank, could you take a look at the daily, weekly of the following magic internet monies? Oh, God. What are these? INST? Okay. These are literally all new to me. Let me get rid of this chart. Not super relevant to us. INST. Whoops. Wrote an Instad app. Yeah, not as bad as most shit coins. I mean, at least it's not at its 2024 lows. That's a win compared to most things. Interesting. I wonder what this thing is or what it does, but range is pretty obvious and pretty set, between 415 to the downside to 815 to the upside. I don't know how long it's going to take within this range, but actually would be having a bullish bias on this one just because the trend has been your friend the whole way through and it has not broken trend yet. I mean, this one's operated significantly better than, again, I would say 99% of things, just not even really joining the downside recently. Yeah, it did come down, but it's not a whole hell of a lot. So basically, if I'm looking at the LARP lines, something like this, and then probably does give another try to the upside. Same shit as what I said earlier. If Bitcoin has an end of year rally, this thing should do pretty well. EUL, okay. EUL. What could this thing be? Euler. Like Ferris Bueller. Again, another one that actually does not look, in my opinion, bad. This one is very obviously reaccumulating over the past half year in this region. Again, better than many charts that we've seen over the past week for most of the popular shit coins, I suppose. Here's your range for the weekly, but it is knocking on the top side of the range already. Just want to see it close above your August highs. That would be 601. So, yeah, about 601 is very close there right now, but would you see a closure above there? And at that point, I do think you're going to get a run towards these highs here, somewhere close to $10, $8 to $10, which is a big fucking move for this thing. And shit, could it even continue from there? Sure. I mean, but again, that's more of a long-term thing. Overall, yeah, if it comes back down to 480, I'd be looking at that as an opportunity. I think that this one moves higher. Again, monthly high or low, like just follow the trend. And then Morpho. Okay, let's see. Can we be 3 for 3 with decent looking shitcoins? That's unheard of. Yeah. Okay. 2 for 3 is pretty fucking good, man. I have to say, for all the people who bring up, nameless shitcoins, very rarely do you see 2 good ones in a row. In this case, Morpho, I don't think is in the same conversation as the past 2. This one looks like most shitcoins. Let's see, how big of a drawdown has it had thus far? Yeah, 60%. So not bad. Here would be my weekly range for the probably foreseeable future between $2.50 to the upside versus 169 to the downside. Going back into the daily, I don't think this thing's going to break down in the short term. I do think you're going to continue ranging sideways. And again, if the rest of the market, namely Bitcoin, does have an end of year rally or like at least a Q3 rally, I don't know, this thing probably breaks out at least above 250. Maybe it tries again 315, something like that. But definitely not my favorite one. And of course, the most obvious thing would be any sort of a closure below 169 bearish. Get ready for this thing to do the full retrace if and when that does happen. But for now, yeah, I think that this thing's done for a while. Trading sideways as well for a while. So yeah. All right. Last one for the YouTube members. Crypto Rect says, Sir Crown, I hope you and Elsa had a fantastic trip to Florida. Yeah, it was fucking amazing, man. I love it. I'm actually just daydreaming every day of moving back. Can you please provide an outlook on the following? How much recovery before the probable major drop in probable bottom price range in coming months? Let's see. TAO. Let's see. I mean, first have to decide, are these the strong ones or the weak ones? Because we just saw several strong ones. This one definitely don't like. Yeah, see a lot of this shit from cycle to cycle. This one didn't even really have like an amazing move to the upside, but for this one, here would be my weekly range. Are you going to test the bottom side of the range again before a bounce attempt? I don't think exactly the bottom side of the range, but maybe a little bit lower here, closer to $300, maybe slightly below $300. But I would be looking for this one to trade sideways for a while. I would be bearish on it long term, though. Again, this one has never really known what an uptrend is, so and has been steadily going down since December 8th. So yeah, not a big fan of this one. But is it going to get a rally? I mean, if the rest of the market rallies, it will as well. And that's where I'd say, yeah, you probably got to move towards 530, 550-ish region if that happens. But looking at the monthly, I do think that that's less likely. I think you will get a short-term, okay, maybe not short-term, but a rally sometime in March towards $400. That's what I'd feel very, very confident about. But I don't feel confident about anything other than that. So yeah, deep. This is one that I've been watching, although not trading. After this one put in this major high. Similar thing here. Definitely, I guess, relatively stronger on the greater look of things. I do still think there's going to be a big bounce off of this, let's just say 12-cent region, which has been hanging out around for a while here. Let's see what the monthly looks like. Yeah. I guess the monthly, like you can kind of have some hopium here just because it still is above that 5 exponential, but I don't know how much I trust this one. It's literally got just a few months of history. Higher term time frames are not super helpful on this one. But I guess if I had to kind of synthesize this down into what's relevant for the near term, the month of March, I do think that it should bounce off of this 12-cent region again. Would like to see it bounce towards 20 cents. I do think now 23 cents is kind of far away, obviously. So bounce first, figure it out later. I mean, if Bitcoin pulls through here, like let's say Bitcoin does put in a low at $75,000 possible, I think I'm still kind of leaning against that as of right now. But if it did, then this thing, will as well. But I don't really see strength on its own in this case. And same thing for PAL. Yeah, same exact thing. This one already on its 2024 lows, I believe. Yeah. I do think you're going to get a rally off of these lows. So there's some hopium there, but just keep in mind, like, the trend is your friend. The trend is to the downside. It could bounce all the way up to almost 30 cents and still be in a downtrend. I do think that you are going to get a pretty big bounce here, very, very likely above 20 cents. And yeah, I actually do think probably closer to 30 cents. But, I think at best it's going to be going sideways within this range for a while. And again, if you get that end of year rally for Bitcoin, you'll get something like this and it will break out. Of course, below your November of 2024 lows, this thing is breaking down to fucking hell and Hades. So yeah, man. Hopefully that was helpful. And let's move on now into the Discord. Let's see what we got going on here. I see TK41 is first. He says, "Hello, Crown. Longtime follower of your amazingly redacted channel. Beautiful since the Rona run. Looking at CL on New York Stock Exchange. Any chance to get back up to 100 this year? Let's check it out. There's always a chance. Just might not be a very high chance. Crude futures. Let's see. Okay, this year I'm going to go to a monthly. Okay, this Wick is really making things unsightly. Any chance to go to $100 this year? I don't think so. I think you're going to get a rally at some point this year, but I think even like $85 might be a little more reasonable, but I would also be looking for a lower high there. This one is very fundamentally driven, and yes, you do have a pretty nasty downtrend right here, and it is switching into, like, I think it's even the monthly as well. Let's see. Very close on the monthly. Overall, I do think it moves lower at some point this year, probably towards $60. Is there a rally before then to 100? I think very unlikely. I think if you are going to get a rally, maybe like $85 would kind of make sense. But as long as you're below January's high, I would treat it as down, just down with no bounces. Thing is, you're going to see monthly momentum turn up above 68. It did close above 68. So I guess it kind of has a chance in March, but I'm skeptical as to whether that'll make, a high above January. If it does, okay, I guess there's still a possibility of 100, but until then, man, general direction is down. Better off betting in the downside direction. Myth Reindeer says, hey mate, how you doing? I'm doing all right, man. Thank you for asking. In one of my short strategies that I trade with, I have two risk management parameters. One is a fixed percentage trigger, and another is close above range highs. Luxalgo helps, of course. Yeah. The problem that I started noticing is that some of the lost trades get closed because of those range high fake out closures before going back in my favor when I'm already out. I back tested and it looks like the win rate and overall P&L is better with just a fixed percentage. I think you have your answer right there, man. I haven't even heard the question. I think you already have your answer. Did you have anything similar happening to any of your trading strategies? Actually, yeah, I don't really use the support/resistance feature to manage risk anymore. I included that because it's a very beginner friendly sort of thing, and especially when I'm posting videos on YouTube, it just makes it easier to follow for the average person. But my preferred way, I have two preferred ways. One is fixed percentage, and then two is actually using some sort of volatility metric like BBWP. Those two things I've found a lot of value in. So yeah, but when it comes to stop loss, fixed percentage, I run with that. It's going to be fine. And again, you have your answer already, man. If you back tested it and you've seen, trust your data, trust your eyes. I think completely fine. Anyways, EMS Rectop says, GM Crown, what do you think about the Fibonacci extension, and do you use it? I mean, I think you've seen me probably use it many times. I don't use the Fibonacci extension tool in TradingView, but I do use the Fibonacci retracement, which will draw extensions. So, I am making extensions, but I don't really like to use it unless if I'm trying to project, potential areas of interest for new all-time high breakouts into blue sky breakouts. If it's not that, then I don't really pay too much attention to it. Obviously, it's not even that relevant. I mean, you'd just be looking at real Fibonacci retracement levels. So, yeah. And even then, in the projection towards new highs area of interest idea, I would say those are still like very fucking what's the word that I'm looking for? Crude. Like it's not like a picture perfect thing, but it does give you an idea of like where things can go. So yeah. In other words, yeah, I do use them and they're fine. FlexD says, hey Crown, can you give your thoughts on MKR daily weekly? Sure. Let's see, MKT. No, Maker. I guess on Coinbase. And you're looking at what, a daily and weekly. All right. Nice healthy downtrend since April of 2024. So it's definitely on the weaker side in this market. But at least you still have, I think, monthly higher lows. So there's that at least. If it wants to pop back down and test, wait, what the fuck? Oh, derp. My fucking brain just broke there for a second. If it does want to pop back down and test February lows sometime in March, I would think that's fine. I would be looking for a bounce there. Long term, I don't love it, obviously. I mean, this has been a pretty nasty downtrend. Short term, I do think that you do have another downside move after maybe spiking these highs one more time. But something like this, maybe it spikes these highs, maybe it doesn't, but generally going to come down. And if it comes back down to February's open, I'd look at that as very likely a bounce region, I think somewhere around here. And if it turns around from there, that'd actually be quite a good sign for the monthly to put in another rally, maybe towards $3,000. If that were to happen, of course, the second that it comes anywhere back down below February's lows, it's wrecked beyond repair. But this thing actually has held monthly lows from cycle to cycle, so have to give it the benefit of the doubt, I think. And while I do think the short term does come back down a bit, I do think that it'll at least find a bounce there. And, if it can trade back above your December highs, then that bounce is a reversal. And I'd just generally be bullish on it. So after looking at some of these alts, I was expecting to see a lot of shit, a lot of garbage, but, we're not, I mean, a lot of these things are salvageable. Some of them that we looked at are not. But that does make me a little more optimistic that Bitcoin does, have another rally at some point this year. Anyways, let's see. Hamia says, hey Crown, do you still see another run at all-time high for Bitcoin? And it's like you read my mind. Or do you think the cycle is done? I think that there's a major top in. I think that for now things are done. Like, we're not going to be seeing new highs like in the next month or two or even three. But, after Bitcoin cools off a bit, I still do lean towards a new low on this move to the downside to closer to $70,000. But, if Bitcoin were to find a low there, then I'd be looking at that as it should at least have another run to the upside. Maybe it doesn't make a new high. Maybe it just retests back above $100,000, but I would be expecting another run. And that's kind of where I'm leaning towards right now, because most of my metrics that I look at for major cycle, or not major cycle, because this is a major top, but for cycle highs have not been hit. So I really hesitate to. I don't want to get full on bearish just yet until that happens, or until we really do see like a weekly lower low and lower high. Right now, we just have a lower low. Anyways, moving on, we have Mr. J35. What's up, man? Solana daily, weekly. Actually, we just went over this one yesterday, but we can go over it again, of course. Daily. Yeah, definitely on the weaker side here. You can see it's not bouncing as much as the rest of the market. I do think that at some point you're going to retest around these lows at 130 to 135 region. It's not super far away from where it currently is at. But most things in this market are setting up for a bounce. So, does it test the downside first and then bounce? Probably yes. I do think you could get a bounce all the way up to 170 at some point this month in March, but I'd be looking at that as a likely area for a high, at least of this month. So, I think the range is kind of set between February lows and then 169. Probably hangs out there for, I'd imagine, all of March. Nice. All right. Let me take another sip of this damn water. NK100 says, hello, Sir Crown. Been following since 2020. Fuck yeah, man. Freaky coincidence that our wives have the same name and same birthday. Is that true? That's crazy. Don't worry, they aren't related. We are from Singapore. Well, anything's possible here, sir. Please look at, actually, we literally just look at MKR, so I think we're good there, man. I forget what I said about it, but yeah, it's just a couple of coins back. Happy birthday to your Elsa as well. Very nice. That is pretty cool. Anyways, we'll move on to Mo Ali. He says, hey, Dad, Crown. Good morning, son. Can you take a look at PAL on the daily weekly? I think we already did this one as well. Let me just double check. Yeah, it was already there. So we're all good there as well. Master Roofway. Is SEI good leverage buy right now? All right. So I will do an analysis on SEI, but I do need to say before I get into it, look, man, like you're asking a random person on the internet who has zero fucking context on you, is it a good leverage buy right now? Like, first off, I have no way of knowing your risk tolerance, your preferences. Are you looking at a 5-minute time frame and you want to get in and out same day? Are you looking at a monthly time frame and you want to, potentially hold a position for many months? I don't fucking know that about you. So there's absolutely zero way that I could ever give a good answer towards you. I can give you analysis of this thing, this highly esteemed piece of altcoin technologies here, and I do think you are going to get an overall bounce at some point in March, just like most things in this market. Maybe it retests the lows first, but again, I don't really have strong opinion. I've already drawn it out here. I don't have super strong opinions on does it retest the lows first or not, but generally a bounce. So, I could easily see this thing bouncing up to 38 to 45 cents. That wouldn't really do too much for it long term, but yeah, whoops, just drawing fucking lines right now. So I don't know if that's within your risk tolerance, but my fear is that I say that and you're going to be like, holy shit, I'm going in fucking 20x leverage. Okay. And what if there is a retest to the downside? Well, 15% is the differential between your current price and the current range lows. So you could easily test this area right here, and that's a 15% move. So you'd already be liquidated at 20x leverage about 10% ago. So yeah, man, I need to think about that maybe in a better way. Should be asking yourself, what would your risk management and profit taking factors be in this case? Dunning-Kruger effect says, greetings from Portugal. Thanks for the TA. Following back since 2019. Fuck yeah, man. That's awesome to hear. Could you sorry, could you please take a look at AltBG? Oh, this is on Euronext. Okay. AltBG. Okay. I guess it's some sort of blockchain technology on, what is this, France's? Yeah, Jesus Christ. Anyways, had a pretty epic rally here all the way to the 55. Have to be looking for at least a pullback from there. It is getting a pullback right now, but I do think it pulls back more overall. Does it bounce first before a pullback? Very likely, yes. Could bounce up to, I'd say 44, 45 cents easily, and then probably come back down. And I think get a little bit closer to 20 cents, something like that. It does have a macro monthly downtrend. So, yeah, I think it's going to bounce here. I don't think the bounce is a reversal. I do think it comes lower than whatever your February lows was, but does it find a low again here and then try like a big bounce? I guess that'd be the bullish view. But of course, my primary rule is to follow the trend, and this one's to the downside. So I wouldn't be calling no reversals until that's fully confirmed. But yeah. Try a bounce in March. I think it comes lower after that. And then, if it is going to be bullish, it probably tries to rally off like 20, 25 cents. All right. I've planned retiring on this one. Good luck. Okay. You're looking at daily, weekly. You're looking over the next 15 days. Yeah, I think you're going to bounce to open up March here. Could easily bounce up to anywhere between 40 to 45 cents, I'd say. But I wouldn't be super confident that this is the move that takes you to heaven. Or I mean, if it kills you, then maybe it takes you to heaven. I don't fucking know. Anyways, terrible dark humor there. Davao says, hello, Sir Crown. Could you please take a look at gold on the weekly and monthly? Sure. XAU, USD. See how this one's doing. This did sell off to kind of end this month out of February, or last month out, I should say. Does it open up on a greater pullback in March? Yeah, I do think so. I do think you're going to get a pullback somewhere between 2,800 to 2,750, somewhere in this region right here. But that would be another higher low. So I don't look at that as like the end of the world or anything like that. I mean, it is still very obviously a pretty major uptrend here, but that would imply, probably a downside move to open up March or sometime during March at least. And if it is going to be bullish, you should be expecting a higher low at 2,750. If it really starts to fail below 2,750, I'd look at that as a very, very concerning factor, and very likely to come back down to 2,550 after that, and play out, a sideways range for a very long time. But there are signals here that this thing has found a high for a long time. I mean, monthly BBWP. Yeah, actually, after looking at this right here, I'd actually feel quite confident in saying that. I think that this one's found a high for a while, and it's going to be trading sideways at best for a while. So yeah, when I see BBWP's extremes on a time frame like this, and then it's also headed down now below the moving average, you're either at the high or you're very, very close to the price high. Maybe, not necessarily in terms of time, but in terms of price. Yeah. All right. Mr. Barash says hype USDT 4 hour and weekly. All right. Let's check this one out. I still have this one on my list, although yeah, playing off the bottom side of the range here. Let's do this on a wick basis. Just like the last one was hitting volatility extremes, this one is hitting volatility extremes as well. It's a daily time frame, but doesn't have as much history. So, hitting your prior lows alongside extreme volatility, probably going to get a mean reversion play. So again, does it retest the lows here or not? I don't have strong opinions on this. My strong opinion is on a bounce, from these regions without like fully breaking down. I think this one can easily bounce to 22 to 24 bucks. Yeah, I really don't have to say much about it other than that. Where would I get ultra bearish on this thing? I guess on a daily closure below 18 and a quarter. That would be below your range lows. So yeah, something like that. Generally, I think most things are setting up for bounces in March. All right. Moving on, we have Lovewood says, "What's up, sir? What's up, man? Apple today." Okay. Oh, Nice. Let's look at some real stocks. Let's go over here. I haven't looked at this one in many ages now. Friday closed almost as a bullish engulfing. Whoops, just drawing fucking lines again. My apologies for these unsightly lines. But the weekly is just a range here. So I'd be looking at something like this. You already tested the upside last week at 250. I think that's probably what you're going to get. I do think after that, you're probably going to come back down and test somewhere around the range lows. But long term, it's very hard to hate. I mean, again, I'm always going to like it when there's an uptrend. In fact, when I look at the monthly, maybe I'm even wrong to be looking for a pullback first. Okay, where was I getting that from? Maybe the weekly? Yeah, I could be very wrong about a pullback first because the monthly did close above all major moving averages here. And so, you know, there certainly is very likely going to be a short-term pullback at some point in March, but does it hang on to the 5 exponential at 237 and a quarter? Actually, that is one thing that I'd really consider here because, like, yeah, the weekly looks like a range, as does the daily, but the monthly trend has been your friend the whole way through, and I don't like betting against this thing as long as it's above the 5 exponential on the monthly. So maybe a short-term pullback, but if I had to call it, probably another move to the upside. See what the quarterly looks like. Yeah, it's extended here. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it can get more crazy. BBWP is nowhere near an extreme on the monthly, and the quarterly is literally expanding right now. So I'd have to be leaning towards actually new highs at some point in March. Yeah, I actually genuinely think there's going to be new highs in this thing at some point in March. That's fucking crazy. That is really crazy. Now, I'm going to be wrong on that. Of course, again, if it does come back down below about 220, then all right, it's topped out for a while, but follow the trend. Follow the trend, even better in traditional markets as well. Oh, sorry, you're looking at a 2-day time frame. 2-day time frame, yeah. Nice closure on Friday. I do think you're going to test at least the range highs again at 250. Something like that. All right. Moving on, we have Texas SIGAP. He says Boynton Beach is north of Boca/Delray. We've been looking at Boca. Boca looks fucking amazing, by the way. It really does. But I hear that there's a lot of mean people there, which I don't think Elsa can deal with. Like anytime someone even yells, she will actually probably start crying. So I need to take off my pants. Too fucking hot in this damn room. I see that we're already 46 minutes into this video. Let's see how many more we can get through. I feel like we haven't done that many so far. All right. My Chinese bank accounts are only for day-to-day spending. Use US for the real shit. Yeah. Regardless of the world's opinion, I do think that still having bank accounts in the US are the best, or at least I'm happy to have them there. Anyways, can we take a look at C Pool on the daily weekly? Yeah. C Pool. Another cryptocurrency. This one, not so hot. Not so hot on this one. I've been saying that most shitcoins are going to bounce in March. I mean, is this one going to bounce as well, or is it just going to fall right through the fucking floor? Probably does try for a bounce, early within this month. I think at least you'll get to 19.5 cents. And if things get really crazy, 22.5 cents. But I'm looking at this as rolling over here. So rallies up there and then rolls over later. I think at some point this year you see, 8 cents, below 10 cents. So yeah, short-term rally, long-term downside is kind of what I'd say about this thing. All right. Tobo says, good day, sir. Thank you for the nice, positive, well wishes. I wish you a good day as well, sir, too. Mr. Bunny Toss says, 21 CM, is this like your size or something? Hi, sir. What's your TradingView hash ribbons indicator settings? I saw first you have different hash ribbons and now I can't find it. Yeah, you're probably talking about this one right here that has a projected buy signal date, which right now is unpredictable because the two moving components are actually diverging more away from each other rather than converging. So we ain't getting a buy signal anytime soon. But to answer your question, yeah, the reason why you can't find this indicator is because it is a private indicator, and I do not own the rights to it. I can't give it out to anyone. I honestly don't even remember who made this one. I could probably figure it out if I really digged it up, but who knows if he's still around. And even then, like, he'd have to literally add everyone. So unfortunately, it's just not publicly available, unless if someone else can make a reverse calculation for that. Anyways. Let's see. Weird Beard says, "Hey, Crown, we'll come back with a question if I remember. If not, have a good day." Well, it seems like there is no question, but thank you, ma'am. RN, what's up, says, "Hi, King Crown. Could you please look at Link USD on the monthly and weekly given the new closures?" Sure. Let's see how this one's doing. Let's go to this one. Yeah, Link. Not a tremendous fan of it right here in the, in the more medium term, but I do think you're probably going to get a rally at some point in March. I think somewhere around $17 is fair game, but I kind of have to be looking for lower after that, close to 11 and a half, $12. I do think you're going to be ranging for a while, and your range is this. Hold on. Let me do your monthly range here. All right. So monthly range highs, monthly range lows. I think you at least will come back down to the middle of these range of this range. That would be, that would be about $12. So short-term rally, I don't think you get much higher than $17 and then come back down towards 12. As long as it's above 12, I mean, I guess that's long-term good. But again, I think that this is really going to take a long time. Like, it could very easily look something like this. Boom, quick rally, come back down, trade sideways for a long ass time, and then hopefully, for your sake, put in a higher low. But I guess we shall see. We shall see what happens to the links. Nick Carolyn says, "Hey, Crown, can you touch on the one chart we looked at on the bi-monthly for Bitcoin? I believe it has something to do with hitting 112. It was actually 114 before the end of February as a minimum target. If so, it could be an explosive week." I guess this is before March ended, of course. Never seen so many timeframes with BBWP dragging the lows repeatedly. Your thoughts and an update on this thread of analysis. Yeah, of course, it goes without saying that is just wrong. I mean, we have the data now, but let me just go over what you were referencing and what that kind of means. So here's the bi-monthly chart. So the last bi-monthly, which is this candle right here, I was looking at as at minimum going to test the median. And it did get up to 109, to be fair, or even above 109. But did it get up to, 113 and a half to 114? No, it didn't exactly test there. I totally understand that I'm going to get endless amounts of shit from this, from people, because again, anytime you make predictions like this and they're not exact, people are just going to fucking come after you. Fair enough. That's okay. I expect that. But, in hindsight, it's pretty fucking close, to be honest. Like, I was making that call when Bitcoin was at 85 to 90,000 bucks. I don't think it was that far off, to be honest. But hey, if you really want to be super exact, yeah, I was 100% wrong on that. And instead of testing it, it was a rejection of it a little bit lower. So looking at the bi-monthly now, I would be looking for a range over the next couple months, really between the 38.2 level and the 50% retracement level. The 50% level right here. At best, I mean, could come a little bit lower than that. I do still think things will come lower than that, towards 70, 74 region. But for now, that would give it a range over the next couple of months between 91 and a half to the upside versus 79 and a half to the downside. It's probably not going to be exactly on, those numbers, but it'll be very close to those numbers, I suspect. I suppose we did not see a rally at the end of this year. At the beginning of this year. It is what it is, ma'am. I'll have plenty of ideas in the future. Many of them will be wrong. It is what it is. It's trading at the end of the day. Can't be perfect. Anyways, Treebeard says, "GM Crown, trading in what time frame made you most profit during your professional career? Thanks a lot." Okay. I know the exact time frame that has produced this, but I don't know if it's super relatable to most people. So what has made me the most profit during my career? The most profit I ever made is quite literally from holding. is quite literally from holding. It's hard to beat Bitcoin when Bitcoin goes up. From when I got into this market, Bitcoin was at $1,000 or a little bit below $1,000. It's now at $100,000. Like, it's fucking hard to beat those returns for sure. But I'm guessing you're talking about like more actively trading, because that will take time. And I don't even think that those returns are going to be possible anymore anyways. Like 100x, that's a lot. 100x from here would be what? That would be 10 million. It might happen, but it might be very, very long time frame there. So the idea is that when I first began, I didn't have that much equity. I didn't have that much capital. So long-term investing just didn't really make much sense because, well, what, I'm going to compound $1,000, for a few years. Like, great. I have $1,500 in the next few years. Like, great. But the idea is, or at least my idea was, to be more of an active trader on the lower term timeframes. And then once I build up capital and build up excess capital, I can start to get into long-term investing. It's also easier on the soul as well, I suspect. But as far as the most profitable timeframe for me, it would have to be either the 30-minute or the 1 hour, because those timeframes, in my experience, are the lowest timeframes that still offer up, pretty decent risk reward profiles, and you can be quite consistent with them as well. And they're not too high of timeframes where you just get bored looking at the charts. You can still be a day trader, certainly on a 30-minute time frame, and I'd say on an hourly as well. So gains can theoretically come quicker. Hopefully that was helpful, man. Jim said, "Hey, Crown, thanks for spreading the knowledge and being entertaining." Hopefully so, man. For European investors, since USD has been busting our balls, does it make sense to diversify the cash and other cash vehicles portion of our portfolio by splitting it up between euros and dollars to hedge against currency fluctuations? I actually do think that the euro dollar is bottoming here, or I would imagine it probably is, especially with this administration coming in. Trump and his team have been really consistent in wanting a weaker dollar. And I do suspect that this thing will rally. You are at multi-decade lows, to be fair, or pretty much around there. But as of right now, if I'm just reading charts, I'd say, yeah, this is bearish as fuck. This looks ugly as hell. I think it's going to come down well below $1. The problem is that Forex obviously is driven by, the macro, if you will, and a lot of news events as well. So, I can easily see this thing putting a low here and rallying up. Now, just as like a good investment, sort of, activity. That's not the word. That's not the right word. Why are the words not coming to me today? As a general protocol, do I think it'd be better to diversify? I mean, I can tell you that I have between euros and dollars, but I do hold certainly more dollars. But I'm an American. My biggest bank accounts are in America, so of course, I'm going to favor that. But I do live in Europe as well, so I do have a euro bank account, and I do allocate some towards that. Now, you made a very specific distinction here, which was great. Does it make sense to diversify the cash and other cash vehicles portion of the portfolio? So you specifically said that this portion of your portfolio is dedicated towards cash. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is awesome, because if you didn't specify this, I would have said, well, you probably don't want to be in either. You probably want to be in assets. Or just generally in assets, but yeah, of course, you are going to have some cash on the side. It sounds like you're you're very mature here, and that's awesome. And so, yeah, I do think that splitting it up is wise. Although I also think that euro is going to rally versus the dollar. So it's like, I'm telling you, diversify into the thing that's going to lose you money because it's a good idea. But it is good investment habits, because of course, what if I'm wrong? What if we're both wrong? Tom BJ says, "Hey, Crown, hope you're well. Can you explain the difference and benefits of using your premium indicators compared to the ones on TradingView? For example, the hash ribbons has a projection." Well, the hash ribbons, of course, has a projection, but it's not for sale, just so you know. Is this the only thing that is different, or is the blue buy signal calculated differently? it is the same calculation. It's just it's just a backwards engineering of it so that you can have a projected signal date. Same questions for Caretaker's RSI. What's the benefit of it compared to the normal RSI on TV? I mean, this is a pretty easy question to answer. So here's Caretaker's RSI. The difference between this and a regular RSI is that this one shows you divergences, both hidden divergence and regular divergence as well. The regular RSI on TradingView, or most RSIs, are not going to be having like any divergence on them, obviously. Most of them don't even have a moving average on them, nor the control zones. And of course, Caretaker's RSI, on top of all of that, gives you all of this data right here for specific price points that would force the RSI to get towards certain levels. So you can kind of backwards engineer targets based off of that, which is super useful. You can also change it around too, so you can get any number that you want. And then of course the divergence criteria here, Caretaker did a really fucking good job, like really good job in, one, giving you options on how to define divergence, but two, he has modeled my sort of idea for divergence and what confirms it and what doesn't. Like really fucking well. I think about as good as you can with code. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. All right. Ladies Man 217 says, hello Crown. In the last video you did with Fiboswani, his thoughts were that Bitcoin could see a minimum of $120,000 by October 2025. He thought that October 2025 would be the cycle top, and this would be a base case. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, I'm starting to lean more and more towards an end of year rally. I just don't know how high it's going to get. I do think it would be nice to see 120. It'd be nice to see somewhere between there and 140, and at least in my opinion. I still do look at my high projection for the cycle high projection video that I did a few weeks back as actually relevant. So yeah, anyways, to kind of go back here. Okay. At the end, you asked him to make a prediction for 2025, and so far he's more or less on point. Nice. With what's going on, correction sometime in Q1. Yeah, again, nothing's going to be perfect, but he did a pretty damn good job. I think he was maybe looking a little bit higher in the short term, but ultimately, pull back in Q1, both of us definitely agreed with, and I mean that's already happened. So. I do think, however, that this current pullback and this current correction is going to take longer maybe than what he expects. But, let's say Bitcoin occupies a range. Hold on. Let's say Bitcoin occupies a range over the next coming months between, let's just call it 70,000 to the downside versus just above $90,000 to the upside. If Bitcoin can do that for the next few months, I will heavily lean in towards the idea that Bitcoin will have an end of year rally. Again, I don't know if that end of year rally is going to make new all-time highs or maybe just a slightly new all-time high. That I don't have strong opinions on, at least right now. I mean, it's way too fucking far away. And I've learned my lesson with trying to do projections that far away, because even if you're just speaking offhand, I mean, people can take it very seriously, and that's not what I want for that. Anyways, MS33K is the macro bottom. All right, so we've changed from the top to the bottom, 33,000. It's quite far away. Good day, Mr. Crown. Hope you're doing well. BNB USD on the daily and weekly. All right, BNB. Let's see, and how are we doing on time? We are literally just over an hour, so maybe we end on this one. We'll see if there's any more really good ones or if it's just shitcoin requests after this. BNB. Long-term, don't hate it, but short-term, does it rally back up somewhere closer to like 650? Maybe, but I do think you are going to get at some point another test closer here towards 520 and very likely trade sideways. I think for a good portion of the rest of this year, maybe until like August, September, and then gives another try to the upside. If it can do something like that and hold this range, I would be bullish for an end of year move. But for now, I'd be looking for essentially a monthly range. So short-term rally, maybe gets up all the way here to like 650, but I do think it comes back down at some point in the next month or two, closer to like 500, 520-ish region. But I'd also be looking for a bounce there as well. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. I'm just going to try to... Okay, here's a really good question from Max. He says, Crown, what would you say the biggest thing that improved your trading back when you first started out? Yeah, it's actually very, very simple. Just going fully into strategy creation and focusing all of my efforts there rather than like constantly looking at the charts on a day-to-day schedule and just like trading off of the charts, but instead spending that time that I was previously just, immersing myself in the charts, instead immersing myself in strategy creation and strategy testing. Now, of course, in recent times, we've gotten tools to automate this, like the Quant Prime. But of course, you can do it without that as well. You just need to go through the literal process that we've gone through many times on this channel, which is first strategy creation. You need to have at minimum entry, exit, and risk management clearly defined objectively well before in advance, and then test that out with prior iterations, see if the results are relevant to you, meaning are they good or not, and then if they are good, executing that strategy. All right. Smickies says, appreciate the consistent grind, bro. Specifically for systematic trading like we do in Crown Club, Quant Prime. How have these system trends evolved from past to present in regards to trading Bitcoin? And what trends for systematic trading do you see emerging? Oh man, this is a great question. This is a really fucking good question. So we got the Quant Prime tool, which again is this guy right here, the skeleton key, which allows you to create, test, and automate your trades. We got this about 3 years ago now. I think about 3 years. Yeah, about 3 years ago now. So I've had a lot of time to test ideas, try new things, and probably the biggest thing that is at least in recent memory is that using BBWP or using any volatility metric for profit taking and even risk management, I do think is the ideal way forwards. Why? Because volatility will always be standardized to whatever the price is. So you can have similar volatility thresholds for when Bitcoin's trading at $1,000 versus when Bitcoin's trading at $100,000, and it's not going to operate differently, really. Now the volatility regime might change, throughout there, but it will still be consistent because it's still going to be consistently marked off of what volatility is marked off of. It's kind of a circular way of saying it, but yeah, that would probably be my biggest systematic thing. And then also, I think maybe just a helpful thing, because you are in the Quant Prime, what I suggest to many people and what I do myself is I really don't like to overextend myself with multiple strategies. I know some people work better that way. I know theoretically it makes more sense, but look, we're not big money asset managers. I'm guessing you probably don't have $100 million or $1 billion. You're not managing $100 million, $100 billion, whatever the fuck it is. And so, diversifying in that way doesn't make as much sense in my experience. And again, exactly what I do is I really don't have more than 2 automated strategies running at a time, and they're generally going to be different in their time frame. So one will be kind of lower, like 30-minute or an hour, and the other one will be perhaps like a 12-hour or a daily, something along these lines. And I'll just allocate heavy to those. That's it. So yeah. All right. Holy shit, there's still a lot more. Okay, there's no way that we can get through all of these. Here's a pretty easy one though. Chris Dahl together says, yo, Crown, thanks for all you do. I appreciate it, man. Do you hold long-term Bitcoin that you will never sell, or do you sell each cycle? Yeah, I actually do. There is most of the profits that I make from trading, I just put into Bitcoin, and then I just leave it there. And that's just my rule. 'Cause I'm thinking, I'll cash out on that maybe like 15, 20 years from now. Like I'm not in any rush at all. And I'm generally bullish over the very long term. So yeah, I do have that. Anyways, all right. How did you get so jacked? Says Sty Guy. That would be a shit ton of Sustanon and Trenbolone. No, I'm just kidding. About 15 years of working out now, man. I started working out when I was 19, and honestly, I made most of my gains before I was like 25, 26. I haven't really grown so much since then, but yeah. Yep, we went over the monthly accumulation and distribution indicator on Friday's stream. I'm trying to look for, all right. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to end things for today. I was looking for more like philosophical questions, but I think it's mostly more like hard data stuff. And so we'll end it right there. Otherwise, we're going to be on here for another 20, 30 minutes. And I need to go to the gym, actually, so I don't get any smaller. Anyways, I think that's a good place for us to be leaving off on this video. I also want to remind people there's going to be a sale coming up in the next couple weeks, or about 10 days, 10, 11 days for the birthday anniversary of this channel. And yeah, with that said, I'd like to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.